Hi, we're Jeff and Kathy Smith, and let me tell you a little bit about what happened to us in the summer of 2010. We had gone to Key West as a family. We were in Key West for just 3 or 4 hours during an afternoon, and while we were walking down on the waterfront, in the middle of this big crowd, tourists everywhere, God just stopped me in my tracks and said, "Jeff, I can do my work here." Now, we left Key West that day. I had no idea what God meant by these words. But in the months that followed, they kept working on me. I kept thinking about them. And they worked on me so much that I decided that I needed to talk to Kathy about them. And we began the process of praying about what these words might mean.
Hi, we're Michael and Rebecca Zaire.
In February of 2011, I was starting to get restless. We had been in Ohio almost 14 years at that point. Our youngest was in high school, our oldest was out of the house, and I was feeling like maybe it was time for a change in location so that God could use our talents somewhere new in a new way.
So Rebecca came and talked to me about what she was thinking and feeling, and we began to pray and to think together about possibilities. And we decided that indeed God was calling us to move in the sometime after the spring of 2013 when our youngest would graduate from high school. And so we began looking for possibilities, not knowing where we would go, but knowing that we would be moving.
After Jeff told me about his experience that he had in Key West, we started praying about it. And after a while of praying, we decided that this was really the direction that God was having us go. So Jeff talked to his friend Mike Zaire, who was his accountability partner at the time, and shared it with him.
About the same time that Rebecca and I made the decision to relocate after our daughter graduated from high school, Jeff came to talk to me about the possibility of church planting.
So the four of us decided to meet together monthly to talk and to pray about where God was leading us with all of this.
Mike and I did a lot of talking together. We prayed together. And as the four of us got together and started praying together, it became more and more evident that God was calling us to collaborate together on a project. And that project just might be in Key West.
And so, in May of 2012, we ventured off to Key West to seek God's direction. Of course, we encountered many interesting places as well as beautiful scenery. The people who live in Key West year-round are known as conchs, like the shell, and they are proud of their island and their heritage. God showed himself most powerfully, though, through Marco Guete and Andrew Bowden from Southeast Mennonite Conference, who came to meet us in Key West. We shared our hearts and sense of call with them. Marco and Andrew affirmed what they were hearing and also shared their desire to be part of the project. Both are experienced church planters and will be excellent guides and mentors as we move forward. We left for home having heard God's voice again, excited about returning to Key West to begin church planting there.
Key West is a small city of about 25,000 year-round residents, and it's in a small area, about 2 miles by 4 miles, so people are used to being close together. We're hoping that we'll begin by starting small groups, and that those small groups will grow and multiply into more small groups. About the time we have around 3 small groups, we're hoping then to start worshiping together on a regular basis in one location, and maybe down the road we'll worship in multiple locations.
One of the things that I'm most excited about in this new venture in Key West is that we will get to sit down with people, meet local people where they're at, and form relationships with them with no other agenda. We simply want to make relationships so that we can present the gospel.
Key West also has about 3.5 million visitors from around the world every year. As I look at the possibilities that we could plant seeds in people's lives that could then be carried to places all over the world, I get really excited about that.
In these final planning stages, we are mainly working on finalizing the budget, looking into finding housing in Key West, getting our moving plans in place, and doing a lot of continued prayer for guidance and wisdom in this whole venture of Key West. And also getting the kids enrolled in their new schools and trying to find a good place for them.
People have been asking us if this is a short-term project, but we're sensing that God is calling us to Key West for the long term. So we're selling our houses and planning on staying there indefinitely. We may need to find jobs and support ourselves initially, but if God provides funding for us to do the ministry more full-time, we'll be open to that as well. We're planning on following whatever God leads us to once we're in Key West.
We know that people in this country have a great longing for meaningful community, and we think that we can provide that in the church we intend to plant. And we also want to be able to show God's love and His power, that God's love conquers anything that life has to offer, and God's power is amazing to heal us inside and out.
And so the adventure begins in August of 2013. We invite you to consider whether God might have you partner with us in prayer or financially as His work in South Florida moves forward.